Brody McBrick, welcome aboard. I think you're number one. How you doing today? How's the audio? Good audio? Hey, Warren. Welcome aboard. Did you get some snowflakes this morning? We are getting underway here. Yeah, we had some... hey, there's Almost Machining. How are you? We had some snowflakes. No snow. Yeah, it was weird. We got a little dusting. But it's New Hampshire, so who cares, right? We don't care. So welcome, guys. I got my stone grinding done early so I could have some Sunday. But it's a good Sunday. I have some announcements to make, which we'll give it a few more minutes till some more people show up. Also, I tried a new thing this week where Instagram offers a reminder option when I put out a post. If it's about an event, you could include a reminder. So I did that this time, and it worked. It was pretty good. I did it for myself. The hair is looking good this morning. Excellent. So we came out with a new product, or we're coming out with a new product, and that's we're going to talk about that today. I ordered a new wheel, and we can talk about that today. And we'll talk a little bit about resin printing in general today. Yeah, Warren says if you don't like the weather in New Hampshire, wait a few minutes and it will change. That is true. Mr. Blodgett, welcome aboard. And otherwise, it's been a really busy week. I was really busy with my day job. Super busy, and first thing in the morning, I got to hit it hard also. Clients, they kind of want stuff done. It's crazy. But I was able to get in my late night grinding and my early morning lasering and get out the mini stones. So, what are you guys doing today? Let's take a little bit of a roll call here. What are you guys up to? Hey, the CNC guy is here. Welcome aboard. Oh, welcome, guys. So here in New Hampshire, we had a warm spell. It was almost spring. It was really quite nice. And then today, I think we went below freezing again. The CNC guy is working today. It's Sunday. You must be a business owner. Warren is doing nothing. You're awesome. That's fantastic. I'm going to do a little nothing today. Oh, it's a 5-axis day today. Oh. Well, I want to hear more and see more. That sounds excellent. So, what other people doing today? So my day started with finishing the mini stones, packaging the mini stones, filling mini stone orders, and then one of our ranks sent me a message, should be working. Warren, you should not be working. You should be chilling out. Anyway, one of our guys said, ooh, I need a set of 6 inches, and I got that packaged up for him too. So it was a productive morning. And I think after today's live, I have a sneaking suspicion I'll have a little more shipping to do, and then I'm going to chill out, maybe hang out with my son and see what's going on. Okay, let's start with, you have some sunshine. Yeah, it's a little gray here. Enjoy your sunshine while you can. It was really funny. I got up this morning, and behind our house, we have a stone wall on the other side of the lawn, and then behind the stone wall, we have a bird feeder, which is often also a deer feeder. And yesterday we had, my wife saw 4 deer at once. I saw 3 at once. 2 bucks and 1 doe hanging around the bird feeder, which they like. And then this morning I got up and I saw there was a fallen branch right behind the bird feeder, and there had to be 6, I think, doves just sitting on the branch, you know, just chilling out, like they found a new home. It was pretty funny. I posted a picture of it. So, you want to hear a story? I will tell you a story. A while back, as I was observing the grinding of my PFG stones and seeing, you know, as you do, process development, I wasn't super happy with how the coolant was working. I'm looking for a prop to show you. I don't think it's here. So I've been playing with a lot of coolant things, because when you grind stones, it's a little different than grinding steel. When you grind steel, the swarf shoots out of the wheel at pretty high velocity. So it, you know, it kind of clears the area pretty quickly. This is by observation, not because of science. When you grind stones, the swarf does not exit at a high rate of speed, and the coolant is very important to clean the field where you're grinding. And I would imagine, oh, here's Adam. Welcome aboard, Adam. Hey, Adam, before I continue my diatribe, no pressure, but would you like to be our guest later today? And if you don't want to, that's fine. But if you do want to, I just want to know in advance. We've started the tradition of having guests. Anyway, so what I observed was that when I was grinding stones, the swarf would hang around more so than grinding other stuff. So I started playing with coolant nozzles and nozzle placement and how open my coolant valve was, basically pressure and flow. And I got things going pretty well the way I wanted to, but I started designing, oh, roger that, Adam. I started designing a manifold, and I was going to have multiple nozzles on lock line, you know, and be able to get the sides of the wheel as well as directly at the wheel, and maybe even around the other side. And I started messing around with that. So I have a whole project tray sitting on the other side of the shop with manifold and parts and pieces and bits. And like many projects, I was so busy I hadn't had a chance to just stop and do that project. So time marches on, and things are going well. And at some fateful day, I decided to purchase a resin printer. Hey, Wheel Train. So I ended up going with Formlabs, who, if you've been following me, you know that I'm extremely happy with. Not only am I happy with Formlabs, I'm happy with their customer service, their responsiveness, everything about it. And now I'm very happy, as you will see, with their machine performance and their resins. It's a very vertically integrated company. They make their own resins. And some people, it's like sort of the Apple approach. 3D Magic World of Printing, welcome aboard. So one day I had the epiphany. I woke up and I realized resin printing will allow me to make some structures that I cannot make easily through machining. And they sent me a sample. I should have brought the sample down of a fluidics, a microfluidics structure that was 3D printed. Hey, Dan. So all of these little ingredients went into the pot and was swirled around for a few months. And then finally one morning I woke up and I realized I can make my own coolant nozzles. Now, the reason this was important to me was what I just said, which was I was aware that coolant and coolant flushing was being very important to PFG stone manufacturing and other grinding processes, other, quote, normal grinding processes. So I started messing around with the thoughts of how I can design a part to do what I wanted to do. So let me just grab, I'm going to boot up my graphics development system here and show you what I'm talking about. So this is a top view. Here's your grinding wheel, and there's a line of contact with the work. And typically, you have a schnozzle that is here, and it's blowing coolant at one side of the work. And what I didn't like about this is it would hit the work area, and it was very narrow. So it would hit the work area and go that way, right? So the swarf that the wheel was coming up on, it was not being cleared away. What I wanted is some cleaning action from the sides. Okay? And I wasn't getting any of that with the typical nozzle. So this is the actual nozzle that's shipped with my grinder. So this is what we're talking about here. So I started thinking about a wider nozzle. So by the way, this nozzle here is made by a company called Jeton, Jeton, and it's basically a copy of the Lockline products. Vidcock is checking out Shunk Tribos work holding today. Tool holding today. Cool. Welcome aboard, guys. Sorry, while I was talking, I wasn't keeping an eye on who's here. So then I said, well, let's go wide, right? And there's a wide nozzle. And the wide nozzle would get coolant coming on the sides as well as directly under the wheel to the work area. But if you'll allow me to be a nerd here for a minute, its vector was still straight ahead, and it wasn't pointing at the side of the wheel. So I said, what if I could make a curved nozzle like that, and I could have holes that all point at a spot, so I could have coolant coming from the sides. And that's what I wanted. So with that picture in mind, I woke up one morning and I realized I can make that, and I could resin print it. So the first thing I did, and again, if you've been following me, you saw a bunch of activity where I took a design for a 1-inch nozzle, 25 millimeters for you other guys, no judgment, and I 3D printed it. So this is a 3D printed, resin printed nozzle from the Form 3. And this was printed with the Form Labs. Hey, Alex. This was printed with the Form Labs Tough 1500 resin, which, again, you have to go back and follow some of my escapades. I am really happy with. Not only am I really happy with it, this very nozzle that's in my hands ran coolant for a long time, and there was no visible sign of any degradation. So we had a good resin, and we had the ability to make a nozzle which fits the lock line hoses just perfectly. So I'm very, very happy with this. Then I was ready to start designing my nozzles. So I ended up with a design, and if you go to the website, you could learn more about it. Here's the shortcut, which of course is mirror imaged. So it's NOZ for NOZ.gg. NOZ.gg, okay? And write that down, go there later. And I designed what is now known as the NOZ 2.2. So there is the NOZ 2.2. Okay, and the reason that number 4 is there is this was the 4th generation, not of the design, well, it's a combination of the design, but also of how to print it. If you do any studying of 3D printing in any flavor, you realize that how you orient the part, how you print it, how you support it is critical to ending up with a good result. So we went ahead, hang on, I think I have a stand for it here. Oh yeah, look at that. So we went ahead and printed this. So this has multiple holes, okay? But the holes are on an arc. And all of the channels point at a spot which is 2 inches away. So there's a magic spot 2 inches away, and all of the channels are pointing at that magic spot. So now this guy can go on the grinder. Sorry, I didn't prepare. Here we go. Here's a grinding wheel. So this guy can go on the grinder like that, and it is reaching around each side of the wheel, and we have coolant now being directed toward the wheel from each side in addition to straight ahead. Now, I know I shouldn't like rave about my own cooking here, but isn't that cool? So if you go over to NOZ.gg and I put up a bunch of pictures, you will see the results. But let me tell you just verbally about the results, because I just came off of that's an optical illusion. The holes are the same diameter in this case. Now, the holes could be different diameters, but in this case, the holes are the same diameter. So, and again, there's a much clearer cross-section at NOZ.gg, which is now available. It wasn't available yesterday. So this works, and it works great. And I just did a grinding session, and I've been grinding with it, and it seems to do what it was designed to do, and I'm very excited about that. So I called a friend of mine. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I called a friend of mine who bought an Okamoto at the same time I bought an Okamoto. Actually, this was on email. This wasn't a call. And I said, hey, you got a grinder? I got a grinder. Check this out. And he said to me, well, recall that our grinder is a big grinder, has a big motor and a big wheel. So he's using a 12-inch wheel. I'm using 7- and 8-inch wheels. And I realized I needed to make a bigger version of this. So I did. It's not available yet because I'm not happy with it yet, but we're getting closer, and that's going to be the NOZ 3.3. So this is a 2-inch focal length, okay, and a 2-inch width. CNC guy, so far I haven't seen any breakdown. I ran this nozzle for a while, and it looks like the day I printed it. And this is the Tough 1500 resin. To be honest, I've only run it with an oil water emulsion type coolant. I have not run it with oil, straight oil, but all those tests can be done. We'll see. This material, the Tough 1500 resin, is designed to be polypropylene-like in its mechanical properties, and based on the table that the manufacturer provided, it looks pretty good from the standpoint of handling oils and the kind of chemicals we use in coolants. So I don't see any breakdown issues right now. So anyway, this is called the NOZ 2.2. So it's 2 inches wide. I like to say between the fangs, because it kind of looks like fangs to me. So 2 inches wide from here to here, and approximately a 2-inch focal length. And then I have currently in design the NOZ 3.3, which is going to be 3 inches wide and 3-inch focal length. And that's actually a big boy. That guy is going to be a lot, much more expensive, on the order of close to twice as expensive as this guy. So this is on the grinder right now. Very happy with it, and I've turned it into a product. So if you're interested, you can go over to, you can start at NOZ.gg. That takes you directly to the product information page for the NOZ, or you can just go to kineticprecision.com and navigate your way down to the page and check it out. If you use a grinder that uses this 1/4-inch style, lock line style hose, this will snap right on the end, just like all the other accessories. So there you go. That's the new product announcement. I'm very, very pleased with it. This is what it looked like. So the first prototype I made, is this the very first? Yeah, this is one of the early prototypes. I didn't have my my support skills quite figured out yet, and I was in a rush. And I said, "Oh, here's the part." I hit the magic wand and said, "Just do everything for me." This is on the Formlabs software called Preform, and it orients the part, and it puts in supports, and it says, "Hey, you're all set," and hit print. So I did, and that was a disaster, because this part has some special requirements. So this was what Preform did from the standpoint of automatically generating supports. And if you look under there, is a ridiculous number of supports. And this, I actually printed 3 of these, and after removing the supports from one of them, I gave up. I'm like, yeah, this is wrong. We're not using it. But I thought I'd show you this as an example of what it looks like coming out of the printer. The new one is tipped up a little differently. The supports were put in manually, so I did not use automation to put the supports in, and it came out beautifully. So that's how this guy was printed. And if you look at the front, the front, which is the business end, is super clean. Actually, it's super clean all over. You can see evidence of supports right there, but that's about it. And a little bit right there. And there you can actually see through it. So that's the announcement. Very pleased with it. It solved the problem for me on the grinder. The results are excellent. It employed resin printing, which I don't think I don't think I could make this economically using any other process. I could machine this. Actually, even machining this would be a nightmare in one part, because there's a cavity. Let me get my flashlight out. I'll show you the cavity. Right. So you can see there's a cavity in there. And well, how do you put that cavity in? So resin printing was half of the equation that made this possible. The other half was the resin itself, and which was an amazing product. So there you go. The NOZ 2.2 is available to ship right now. Yes. So rigid 10K, Christopher Tofu says he would say rigid 10K, but it's really, I don't think you mean really brittle. I think you mean really expensive. Oh, brittle. Okay. So thank you, Chris. So rigid 10K is very brittle. It's not the right tool for this job. I cannot tell you how many hours sitting in my comfy chair, sometimes in front of the TV, I spent with a printed version of the materials guide from Formlabs, studying all the materials. Rigid 10K is an amazing material. It's not the right material for this job. Rigid 10K is like glass. It's like glass, and this, you wouldn't use glass. This is like polypropylene, and you would use polypropylene in this application, right? I don't know what plastic, this is lock line. I don't know what plastic lock line used here. I'm sure I could figure it out but this might even be polypropylene. So this has the mechanical properties of polypropylene. And if you follow me, you may recall that I started making these test nozzles out of gray version 4, which is their, everyday resin. I call it baby's first resin. It's a wonderful resin, and it's a very detail-oriented resin. And they cracked, and I tried sizing things a little differently and putting notches in to get it from get it to not crack. And then I studied the materials more, and I said, yeah, tough 1500 is the answer. And then the tough 1500's been just a win. So a couple more things about the tough 1500. The tough 1500 does not have a lifetime in the tray on the printer. So as Chris pointed out, rigid 10K, not the right resin, but just by way of example, rigid 10K has a lifetime, and you can only use the tray that it's in for I think 3 calendar months, and it's out. So, and then rigid 10K there's some lifetime requirements there because it's very abrasive to the tray, whereas tough 1500 doesn't have that. Now there's also, Formlabs also has a tough 2000, which I don't have any examples here, but a friend of mine printed, it's Instabrad, if you know Instabrad offered, and I took them up on it, to print these for me in tough 2000. Now tough 2000 is even a more interesting resin. However, it does have a finite lifetime in the tray. And there's chemical reasons and mechanical reasons. And so tough 1500 is a nice choice because it emulates polypropylene, and you can use it forever without worrying about lifetime of the tray. Yeah, so, okay, let's talk about injection molds. First of all, I am not an expert in injection molds, But, you know, I used as an example the Lockline wide nozzle, okay? And just to give you this, you know, the size for size comparison, all right? That's what they look like. So the Lockline design starts with the fact that it's not one piece. I gotta get it apart. There we go. So the Lockline design is two pieces. So it's molded in two pieces. That's the first clue, all right? And it's quite interesting, actually. This is the more interesting part. I'm actually not sure quite how they did it, but it's pretty interesting. And if you look at this part, there's some reinforcement in there, but all the holes are straight. So they probably had a mold where they had a whole bunch of these pins, and then this thing popped off the pins. So I did study how they made this part, and I thought it was nice design. And then when it's, you know, what we think is a bug is a feature, you can also aim it a little bit, which I didn't think, you know, it's not hugely important, but it has some interesting features to it. And future NOZs are going to have some additional features that I'm thinking about. But getting back to your question about injection molding, this thing would have to have pins at all these different angles. Now, that's completely possible. I've seen injection molds that are really amazing, where you have all these pins, and they would be all retractable, and life would be good. And that mold will cost you more than the gross national product of some countries. So that's the problem, is that if you're a company making stuff that's going to sell for, you know, $3 or $4, okay, you can't be making a mold that's going to cost you $20 million. That's the issue. It's just not going to happen. So I'm selling these for $18, and I'm introducing them with a sale at $15. So if you go to the website, it is live now. It actually went live. The sales, anyway, the sales page on my website for this product went live 2 minutes ago. So they're $18 a piece, discounted to $15 for the remainder of February, and then it goes back to $18. That's pretty cool that we can make something that solves a problem, is fairly inexpensive. It's, you know, it's a fraction of the cost of a grinding wheel. And this will last through several grinding wheels, I hope. Thank you, Almost Machining, for your nice comment. Clean and solid, he says. Thank you. Anyway, there's more design work to be done here. More choices. Oh, I never finished the story. So I talked to my friend with the bigger grinder, and he said, oh, I did finish the story. He said, I use a 12-inch wheel. And then I realized he also uses probably a 1-inch wide wheel. So we'll come out with a wider one next. So this is called the NOZ 2.2, 2-inch focal length, 2-inch width. The next one is the NOZ 3.3, 3-inch wide, 3-inch focal length. And then from there, we'll do what the market asks for. And I have some other ideas. My philosophy on any of the products that I sell through Kinetic Precision that we make here is I'm selling a product that solves a problem for me. Therefore, it must solve a problem for somebody else. So this isn't like a hypothetical. This is in use right there. In fact, you can't quite see it because of the lighting, but it's right there on the grinder. Yeah, so Indiana John says his first service grinder needed 12-inch wheels, and those things cost $300. So he got a different grinder. You're a very wise person. You're absolutely right. So, yeah, I just ordered. Well, let's just wrap this up. So that's my announcement on the NOZ. It's called the NOZ. If you go to noz.gg, you'll find the information page, and it is available to order right now on the site for small dollars. So if you guys have any questions about the NOZ, let me know right now, and then I'm going to change topics on you and talk a little bit about a grinding wheel I just ordered. I'm going to take a sip of tea. I have to move my NOZ. Did any of you guys use the reminder feature of Instagram? On my second post with the cool video, I used the reminder feature so you could be reminded. Did anybody use that? I used it. It worked great. Vidcock says, it's interesting that you don't see many Okamotos here in Europe. So this Okamoto was built in their factory in Thailand, and it came over the Pacific to the port of LA, and then from LA to Chicago and Chicago to here. So I would imagine getting it to Europe is even harder. What reminder feature? So let me answer that question, then I'll answer Indiana John's question. What is the gooseneck part of the hose called? It's called the gooseneck. You mean this? It's called the gooseneck, I think. Sometimes we just call this lock line. So Warren, when I posted my cool video, it offers you to enable a reminder feature. It basically says, hey, if you're reminding people, if you're telling people about an event, you could turn on the reminder feature. And then when it pops up in your feed, you can hit, there's a button offered to you that says remind me about this. Anyway, you'll see it next time. Vidcock says lots of German-made young grinders here. And Adam says speedy journey, right? So, yeah, I think you're referring to my story. Yeah, that journey was not speedy. I know you were following along when it was happening. So Adam bought a grinder from Parker Majestic, and it came from Indiana. Where'd it come from, Adam? It came from somewhere in the middle. And, of course, Adam got his grinder. There were like 3 of us that ordered grinders at almost the same time. Adam the machinist, Grimsmo Knives, and myself. Pricksburg. I don't know where that is, but I know it's in the middle somewhere. Anyway, long story short, I was the last one to get my grinder because it took a slow boat, literally. Yeah, okay, Warren, no problem. So let's jump into the next topic. So if you followed me when I did the oh, let me grab one. Hang on, I want to grab one of the angles that I did. Okay, I'm back. Pittsburgh. I know what you meant. So, I did post about this last weekend because I ground in my rather beautiful Windy Hill Foundry castings, and they came out just spectacular. But you may recall that I was concerned about what wheel to use. So the traditional answer to what wheel to use on a cast iron part is to use a green wheel, a silicon carbide wheel, and that was a known. So when I had my Brown and Sharp grinder, when I first got it, I had to grind in the bed and grind in the chuck. When you do that, you literally grind the bed of the grinder, and then you grind the bottom of the chuck, and you put them together, and then you grind the top of the chuck. That's the standard procedure. And that bed needed the grinding. So when I did that, I was ignorant, and I used the wrong wheel to grind the casting, which is the bed, and I had a lousy result. And I posted the pictures, and Robin Renzetti sent me a message, basically saying, "No, young Padawan, you need to be using a green wheel." So the only wheel I had was a 100 grit silicon carbide, so-called green wheel. And the results of that were spectacular. So I learned. I'm like, oh, cast iron, green wheel. So I purchased the raw castings from Windy Hill Foundry, which you can get, by the way, over on his website. Just Google Windy Hill Foundry. He's in Mississippi. If it says right here, MISSISSIPPI, right there. So that's Clark Easterling. I think that's his handle on Instagram. Is he goes by Clark Easterling, not by Windy Hill Foundry. Anyway, so my first thought was green wheel, but I put the word out. If anybody had used the Norton 5SG wheel on cast iron, and the reason I asked the question was that Norton suggested that it was a very good wheel for cast iron. Now, the reason I owned the wheel at all was because I did a little bit of testing for John Grimsmo on the blade steels that he uses in the Norseman. Because they also had this Okamoto on order, he wanted to come up with a recipe. So I did my research, and for stainless steels, this Norton 5SG wheel was recommended. So I had it. Well, when I looked at the 5SG spec sheet, they said, no, this is also a very good wheel for cast iron. And this did not make sense to my brain. It's like, how can it be good for Mr. Amati? How old is this part? This is brand new. Clark Easterling is currently making these castings in Mississippi. And you can buy a casting and then have it finished, and then finish it yourself, or you could have it machined. He has somebody doing machining. Anyway, so the 5SG wheel said it's good for cast iron. So they also said it was good for stainless steel, which is why I had bought it. And then if you keep reading, you realize they also say it's good for tool steel. And at this point, I'm like, how could you have a wheel that's good for everything when I'm having so much trouble finding the right thing? So I put out the word, and I said, I'm thinking of using this wheel. Well, Robin said, use a green wheel. Robin, I respect and trust what he has to say. And I knew that it would work. But lo and behold, I had about 3 different guys said, I use that wheel. It works great on cast iron. So now we had an experiment. So I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is I touch that wheel to the cast iron and it's lousy. Fine. Then I could change wheels. So and I'll show you, not this is much to look at, but this is, there's the wheel, okay? With a Kinetic Precision balancing ring, by the way. So I go ahead and I start grinding with this 5SG wheel, and wouldn't you know, the 5SG wheel is doing spectacular on cast iron. So I finished the whole project, and I got those results. Okay, any scratches are my own. Which, by the way, I've stoned with the PFG Stones, and the PFG Stones say that this was a very good grind. And when the project was all over, I had a new favorite wheel, because I personally had used it on stainless steels, knife steels. I personally have used it on cast iron. And then I started thinking, I wonder how this will do on grinding the chuck, which it might do okay, which I usually do with a white wheel. So these were the things I learned. So I decided to go all in and purchase a, this is a 7-inch, half-inch wide 5SG wheel that I used on this project. And I decided to get a 3/4 inch wide, 8-inch diameter 5SG wheel. And the price to me, they sound, so Indiana John says, from that, PFG Stones sound like tarot cards. They are tarot cards, and they know your future. Just kidding. No, the thing, let me tell you another story, then I'll get back to the wheel. So we went to grind that chuck in when the machine was delivered, and kind of got mixed results, but it was good enough. And then when the technician was here, really great guy, he wanted to show me how to use a certain setting on the machine to grind in the chuck. And when he was all done, it looked perfect. And it was really impressive. And I was like, wow, gee, you kind of know what you're doing. Why don't we stone it? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, let me show you what a PFG stone does. So we stoned the chuck, which looked perfect. And it uncovered, some wheel hop, and it was not perfect. Now, was it good enough? Yes, it was. And I use it to this day because dimensionally it was correct. But his eyes went whoop when he saw what was revealed by the tarot stones. So, yeah, that one of the things PFG Stones will do for your grinding is it will show you the next level, stuff that you literally can't measure. And it will teach you what's going on in the machine. Doesn't mean it's a bad grind. And if you want to cover it up again, you take some of the gray Scotch-Brite and you just hit it with gray Scotch-Brite, and it's back to covered up. You're all set. Anyway, so we have a new wheel coming, and then I wanted to buy a brand new wheel adapter. So I went to McMaster Carr and I purchased a Sopco adapter. Now, my normal Sopco adapters, like these guys, okay, they're called the 0200, the 0200s, and I needed the wider one, which is good for 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch wheels. Well, as you could imagine, it's the same exact thing. It's just a little longer, and this is known as an 0100. So one of the things I have to do is I have to update my website to indicate that you can use the balancing rings on this hub, because this face of the hub with this boss is exactly the same. So I'll be putting a note in the website. But there's a brand new 0100 from Sopco that'll be going on that brand new wheel, which might be here tomorrow or Tuesday. Indiana John says you just got one of those. You mean one of these? An 0100 from Sopco? Yes. So, Vidcock, I don't know what your real name is, so I don't know if you're one of my customers. But he says he stoned a 1, 2, 3 block, and you can see how wavy it really is. Absolutely. Yours was used. Yeah, I have a pile of used ones, and I just, for this particular wheel, because it's a $110 wheel, I wanted a brand new adapter. It's going to get a B200 balancing ring on it, and we'll have a new go-to wheel in the shop. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about getting that and trying it. So it'll be in this week, and I'll have some little project that I can do with it. Vidcock, you are exactly correct. I believe when they do 1, 2, 3 blocks, they grind them in one pass with a single wheel. And I think when it goes over the holes, because the wheel load is lower, it goes down, and then when it goes between the holes, it goes up. I've uncovered this repeatedly, and that is something that you cannot see unless you use PFG stones. There may be some other ways to do it, but every single time you can take a 1, 2, 3 block out of its packaging, stone it with a PFG stone, and it will show you exactly what you just found. So very good. So Norton 5SG wheel inbound. I'm still using this one. I will continue using this one. I will use it up, and I'm just getting his bigger brother. All right. So yeah, I think we talked about everything I want to talk about today. You guys have any questions before we wrap it up? Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I'll take a sip of tea, and you give me a question. Have you ever encountered something made so precisely that I assume you got auto-corrected? PFG Stones did not reveal stuff. I actually machined a Suburban Tool right angle. Thank you, Vidcock. Appreciate it. Like a 6-inch. Yeah, I think it was a 6-inch cast right angle from Suburban Tool that I bought off eBay, and I jigged it up in my grinder. This was on my Harrig 6x12, my manual machine. Yes, Mr. Blodgett, I did see that this morning. It was beautiful. I have some of that, some of those projects coming. Anyway, so I did the grinding on that surface. In fact, there's a picture of it in the gallery on the website. And I stoned it, and absolutely nothing happened. It was amazing. I think I was using, it didn't matter, 4-inch or 6-inch rectangular stones, and I hit that grind after I was done, and it showed nothing. So yes, sometimes you will stone a surface and it says, I see nothing. You see no high spots. And if you just did that grind, you may pat yourself on the back. That is an awesome result. Did I see Adam at Laney Machine making cylinder squares? Nice coincidence. Yeah, I did. And I sent him a note. I was very happy to see it. I have a cylinder square project coming up. It's a touch-up project, but I actually have everything I need in the shop to get going on that project. So that's coming up on a future event, which will be amply photographed. Does my shop have AC? No. My shop has a heater, but the shop does not have AC. So if it gets blistering around here, it never really gets too hot in the shop. I am surrounded by foundation walls, we're at driveway level, but the foundation for my house is right there. And of course you have a concrete floor. It tends to keep things at a moderate temperature. But in the winter, you can freeze out here. So this place is heated, and it never gets colder than 50 in here by design. Good question. Let's see. All right, 5 minutes left. If you have a question, put it in the thing, and we'll try to get to it. It's been an awesome week. Where do you live, Christopher? You probably told me before, and I probably don't remember. The manual machinist, welcome aboard. Do not look over there. The manual machinist should not. Don't look at that. That's not for you. Oh, Connecticut. Okay. Very good. Hey, KTR Innovations. Thank you. That's very kind words. He says it is a very informative live stream. Thanks. That's what we try to do once a week. By the way, I have to comment on a very interesting Instagram phenomenon, which is we all have these handles, and many times our handles don't have our names in it. So I actually have customers who, and Christopher, you're probably one of them, who's a customer, but I can't remember that you're a customer because in my system, when I ship you stuff, it's got your name. But on Instagram, it's not, I can't correlate it with your name. So it's pretty funny. It's like, I have no idea who you are, but it's nice to see you. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a great week coming up. I have a lot of consulting work to do. There's one question that popped in. Let's see if we can grab him before the top of the hour. Okay. Mickey McCann, you are awesome. I'm just going to let that ride. It's just between you and me. My Covell surface grinder table kicks up when the auto feed is going too fast. Any thoughts? Slow down the table. I'm not kidding. Slow down the table. Sometimes these tables usually don't have anything to hold them down. So if there's some physics going on that's giving it some lift, Adam asks a very good question. Is it a rack and pinion drive? So my first grinder, the Harrig, was a rack and pinion drive, and I was warned that you could see some lift if you were cranking it. And I think I never got fast enough to see it, but I believe it. So, Real Penny Pincher, welcome aboard. It happens when running at 50%, and it's hydraulic. You could be riding up on the lube. What kind of lube are you using? Are you using the correct lube? And are your I wonder if have you looked at your surfaces? Is it a scraped surface? Because if it's worn down to being dead flat on dead flat, that might do it also. Because the oil has to have a place to go, and when you're sliding on it, it's like running a pump, and there's pressure. The faster you go, the higher the pressure. It has to go somewhere. So make sure you're running the right lube. Make sure the lube has a place to go. Yeah, if it is a scraped surface, it's a Covell. It's probably an old scraped way. So if it's a scrape, Adam suggests that the hydraulic rod could be bent. There's got to be a bearing there, Adam. So I'm not sure. Well, everything matters, but these are the things to look at. Sorry we can't be more helpful. But hey, we can kibitz and give information even if it's unwanted. Well, good luck with that. Give us a follow-up report next week, Indiana John. Those are all things to look at. All right, guys, 2 o'clock. I'm out of here. Thanks for being here. You're awesome. If you want to pick up a NOZ, I know one of you has one coming. I'm not telling you who. Go to the website, and it's available now. And as I learn more things about this, I will be putting it in the information page. Have an awesome Sunday. Do something fun in the shop. Take care of your families, and we'll see you next week.